Let's go back to our lead story now for more reaction on Nersa's decision to grant embattled Eskom an 18.65% electricity tariff hike. ActionSA says it is patently evident that the ANC government has no plan to end our energy crisis. Let's get more comment now from ActionSA's leader, Herman Mashaba, who joins us virtually from here in Johannesburg. Herman, thank you so much for your time. You and your team released the statement a little earlier, and I thought that you read the mood of the country very well in this news trickling through to households across the country when you said, while our people are resilient and can withstand great adversity, it's difficult to remain optimistic under this current set of circumstances. Your immediate reaction to this news, the increase for April this year and then a further increase further down the line?
Yes, good evening, and thank you so much, Marcel, and good evening to the listeners. Without any doubt, I mean, this 18.6% by Eskom was really going to really fleece the already overburdened South Africans. As much as South Africans, we are resilient people. We've really withstand difficult challenges in the past, but unfortunately, the ANC government, by not having a plan on Eskom, it's really making it really very difficult. Even now, law-abiding citizens, how are they going to really survive? I mean, this increase, it's more than double the inflation rate. And if you look at the majority of the companies in this country, for the few that are employed, never got anywhere in terms of increase, anywhere close to even inflation. Now, if you come out with more than double the inflation rate in a country with 46%, 12 million South Africans unemployed. So really, this makes it really very difficult. At the same time, with power cuts, I mean, I'm sure South Africans are aware some of the businesses and factories during the lockdown, people are expected to go home and they don't get paid during that time, which is not really their fault, but they still have to have money to really go to work. And while we're at work, we've got to go back home because of load shedding. And unfortunately, at the same time, you can't blame the business community because you can't really pay when you don't really have the money. So it is really very unfortunate. And obviously, as I said, what is really quite disturbing about this is that there's no plan. We've been told for the last, 12, 14 years, every year we are being told, in fact, not even every year, every week, the president, the ministry responsible for Eskom, they will tell us the load shedding will be a thing of the past. We spend billions building the two power stations, which even up to date, because of the level of deep-rooted corruptions, they are dysfunctional. Not only corruption, the ineptitude of the people involved. So once you put all this thing together, honestly, our country has been compromised.
I felt like there was a collective gasp when this news has now come through from Nersa, and I think it's because over the last decade or so, Eskom has been unrelenting in asking for these huge increases because of their increasingly desperate situation. But Nersa has always held the fort, saying that they have to put the ability of ordinary South Africans to be able to keep paying the bills. They have to put ordinary South Africans first. What do you think has changed in them capitulating, I suppose? I apologize if that is too sharp a criticism, but what do you think has changed?
Look, Marcel, I remember for the 3 years when I was the mayor of the city of Johannesburg, making representations on behalf of the residents of the city of Johannesburg to Nersa to say, please, as much as you are listening to Eskom, you are aware of the deep level of corruption and maladministration, and you want to really pass this on to South African consumers. These increments are not going to solve the problem. In fact, you give him more money and funds to this highness to keep looting. So, like paying taxes, you look at people all over the world. People don't mind to really pay taxes. But at the end of the day, if your taxes are not used for public good, that's when you start really having problems. And unfortunately, there's increases that Nersa is allowing Eskom to impose on innocent South Africans, depressed ones. Unfortunately, it's going to really lead to situations that are actually dread to even think about the consequences. If you look at how they are allowing the government is allowing our infrastructure being destroyed. You look at electricity infrastructure being destroyed on a daily basis by criminal elements with no consequences. People are just really carrying on with business as usual because we have a laissez-faire kind of government that does not believe in consequence management. We have a president that can't make a decision on anything, whose focus is the unity of the ANC. When is there going to be the unity of South Africans going to be the president's priority?
When you were executive mayor of Johannesburg, and I look up the story, it was back in 2019, and there was a story where we were up in arms because we were heading into stage 2 load shedding, and my, oh my, how things have changed as we sit here during stage 6. And at the time, you were fighting the fight to try and get the city to be in a space where it can generate its own power to offset the pressures of load shedding. And Eskom then said that you couldn't do that. Things have, however, changed slightly since then. You see the city of Cape Town moving forward with that kind of thing, and I do believe there was news that Joburg would start doing that kind of thing as well. But we do really need the implementation of those kinds of systems and processes like yesterday already, and it needs to move at a very fast pace to try and offset even worse load shedding now.
Yeah, well, I think that's really good. You captured it quite well. I think when I was the mayor, I really did everything in my power. Unfortunately, at the time, I had a very hostile provincial government. The government of the ANC in Gauteng, they were doing everything possible on a daily basis. Every time when you went to raise something with them where you needed provincial government's intervention, in fact, they were taking this to be an opportunity to really get an insight, and as soon as you leave the meeting, they work out how they can actually sabotage what you are proposing. Proposing proposals regarding Kelvin, the power station where we were buying the limited volumes of power from them, and we were talking to the owners or the management of this to that. We, as the city of Johannesburg, we can obviously get the permission from provincial, national government where they can invest in ensuring that they can increase their capacity. And also at the same time, allowed private investors to develop their own power generation. But unfortunately, all these things were falling onto deaf ears, actually, as I've said. They were actually, every opportunity you presented, they took it as an opportunity to sabotage our administration.
Okay, we're going to leave it there. Thank you so much for coming on, giving us that reaction. That's ActionSA President Herman Mashaba.